If you're going to do CA, now we're not going to do CA here tonight. This room is too small. CA puts out a lot of fumes, and it bothers me. I have to have 2 fans blowing on me and my garage wide open when I use CA. But you can get some gorgeous, yeah, right. You can get some gorgeous finishes on pen kits using CA. A lot of guys will tell you that they use the CA, that they'll put 20 or 30 coats on, and that's garbage. That's not an excellent pen. That's not a real good one. My diameters on the ends were not perfect. Okay, but I use between 6 and 8 coats of CA, and I use a medium CA, depending upon how much sanding I do. When you take your pen kits apart, you're going to have a whole bunch of little bags. Save them. Okay, put them in another cigar box. Because when you do CA, you put those little bags on your finger, and as you hold this directly on the wood and it's turning, you use your bag on your finger to spread it. Now, I put on my first coat and I put a little accelerator on it. After the 3rd coat, I put some more accelerator on it. After the 5th coat, I put some more accelerator on. I don't use accelerator on every coat. And with the medium, I'll put 6 to 8 coats on a pen. That's about what I do. Then I sand it. And I start out with probably 240 and go up to 600 on regular sandpaper. And then I'll use the mesh, this kind of stuff, that you can go, this goes from 1200 up to 12,000, I think it is. Oh, 1500 to 12,000. And what you see on that CA pen that's going around is 12,000. Wet. And real wet. When you use this kind of stuff, water is your friend. Dry is your enemy. You want it as wet as you can get it and as wet as you can keep it. And you'll end up with finishes like those that are going around. And they come out gorgeous. I mean, they really do. I've got this is the same type of wood, and I try and pronounce it, but boy, I'm going to kill it. Ambrosia? Okay. However, one of those things that I have a hard time pronouncing properly. That is just polish. Okay? That is not CA finish. And if you remember the difference between the CA and that, you can see there's a really great difference between the brightness. Now, there's nothing wrong with this pen. That's a real good pen. I like that pen. It turned out beautifully as far as I'm concerned. You might not like it, but as far as I'm concerned, I like it. But it doesn't have that glass finish that CA pen has. That's the difference you get with the CA versus polish. And I use that Beal polish system to put the polish on that. Speaking of which, boy, this is part of your Beal system. You got 3, and I know they look terrible right now, 3 cushions that you put your wax on, and you got wax 1, 2, and 3. The first wax is a filler. The second wax is some kind of a polisher, and then the third one's a really polisher. Is a Knoble wax, which really buffs it up good. I like this system. I've used it on a bunch of other stuff than pens, but I really do like this system. I originally had the only one pad, and you had to take that pad off and put another pad on, and that got to be a pain in the neck. And for, I think it was right at $55 on Amazon, and in the stores this sells for $100. Okay, but I think I got it on Amazon for about $50. And it's really nice having all three. Fits on your drill real nicely. Okay. Have I about covered everything? Oh, yeah. You're going to want epoxy glue. I use 5-minute epoxy glue. With 5-minute epoxy glue, I can have 3 tubes that I glue in on 5 minutes. Then I have to make up some new stuff because it starts to get hard and I can't use it. Okay? You can get this any place, Walmart, any place. And it's not that expensive. If I'm going to do like I did with the seam ripper, and I've done it on my bowls over there that I brought in for the empty bowl, and I did it on the boxes that they make up for the kids with the, what's it called, Neil? Beads of Courage. Thanks. This is all I use. It is an oil and urethane top coat. I'll put 1 coat of sanding sealer on, and then I'll put generally 3 coats of this. You take a towel, a paper towel, and wipe the stuff on, and it comes up with a real nice finish. I like it. So y'all might not, y'all might have different ways to do things. I have a terrible time finishing stuff, and I found that this is what I can use, and it works out pretty decent for me. Okay. These are blanks, of course, walnut and maple, like on the end of the table over there, for making pepper grinders. Just a piece of wood, and you turn it, and you decide however you want to make it. You can make with a bubble in it. You can make it just plain flat, straight across. You just make it however you want. It's no big thing. And it's great for a Christmas present. Great when you have to have a present like we have at our Christmas dinners or whatnot. Or when you have a bring back. So these things are simple as pie. The kits, I think, are $13 or $14. Suggestion, when you buy a kit, you open it up and look at it. I have found 4 altogether out of probably 25 at the most that I've bought. Somebody tried to make one, and it didn't work for them. No idea why, but it didn't work. But they had gotten the epoxy glue on stuff. Well, they did as good a job, I guess, as they could do of wiping the epoxy glue off. They put everything in the box, back in the box, took it back to the store. And I guess they got a refund because the store sold them. And I didn't find out about it until I got home and went to make the kit. So when you're making stuff up, you want to check that. Anybody want these? Pass them? Okay. Here, come on up, pal. Come on. Here, you can have a set. Now, when you go to make them, you put this little puppy in your chuck. And this is nothing but a jam chuck. Come on. Thank you. And you got your one-way live chuck center, or live center. And you can see the little black mark I've got on this. That's where the end of the blank comes. And I've also got just a little bit of a mark on my one-way center, but don't look at that. And you cut them down to, you leave about a 1/16 of an inch on the end, or 1/8 of an inch at that black mark, and the kit has pieces that slide down on them, but nothing fancy. This is real simple. You know, most everybody's got a live center. Just make yourself a jam chuck. After you make 5 or 10 of them, if you don't like that little mark there, you just take your skew. The only time I use a skew, by the way, John, and you take your skew and you just clean it off. Okay? Okay, now we're going to start. Any questions on anything I've covered? I mean, I covered a whole mess. You got any questions? Serious, I mean, I'm sure most of you know this stuff, but this is what I've been doing, and this is the way I do it. Go ahead. I'm going to show you the way I do it. That's, what is that, 63 or 62, 63? So that's a different way to do it, okay? And that's a good idea. Like I say, the way I found out how to do it, I did this for over, I bet 15 years, maybe 20 years, and had no idea that this would work, and it does. Okay. Let's see. Piece of wood. And this is that, yeah, whatever. Okay, my chuck is a Nova 2. Why did I get a Nova 2? No earthly idea. It came with that 1014 lathe that I got. It was all in a kit, and they came together. You got any other kind of chucks? That's cool. That's great. It doesn't matter. The reason I like it is because I can take and close this down, and I've got a solid back behind my piece of wood. Now, it still comes out and all that good stuff, but you can put it in there, and I didn't mark this one. I am not as great as some of these other people are at just finding the center. Some people that I know just take their popper, and it just makes a nice center for them. And they get it 99%. Can't do that. Okay. Yeah, this one's not right. I can see it's not right. Son of a gun. Yeah, that's way off. Yeah, I don't know what I did wrong the first time. Okay, I usually take a pencil. I don't happen to have one up here, but I got my pen. I put an X on it, and that's got the center. It lines up with my point on my one-way. So I put this in against my chuck, and then I'll bring this little puppy up . Okay. Ah, wrong way, Gary. Okay. And that's pretty doggone close. You can look at the end, and if you don't see that little dot that you made with your one-way walking all over the place, you know you're pretty close. Okay? Off. And you're going to drill. We're going to make a Cuban cigar. And on your little list of instructions, you can pass that around if you will. I mean, I should have gotten a copy for everybody. I didn't. I'm sorry. It tells you it's a 7-inch mandrel, which we've already gone through. Where does it tell you? Come on. I know you're here. blank preparation. No. Well, wouldn't you know it? It gives you the bushings. Oh, 10 millimeter drill. That's what I've been looking for. So you go to your drills. Nope. $10 millimeter. Try and keep them in the packages they come in, because the packages are numbered, are labeled, and your drill is labeled too. But it makes it easier. Okay. Snaffle. And it's a brad point drill. 9 times out of 10 it'll come right up to the same point. Now the end of that one is not squared. I didn't cut that one. That's just the I pronounce it ambrosia. I don't know, you know. You buy them they have a big box and they've already cut these things. Now they've taken to drilling a hole in them, but I got these a long time ago before they did any of that stuff. So when drilling, I go about 500 RPM on those blanks that you've got for the pepper mills. They use a 25 millimeter drill, and it says right on it, don't you go over 600 RPM, you'll burn it up. Okay, and it is just simple as pie, and you go ahead. Now, reason I'm using a glove, I have had the drill chuck start spinning like crazy, and I just had my hand resting on it. I wasn't even holding it, and I found out real quick, like that smarts. You know, you don't want to do that. So again, I put on a glove as a first skin. You know, first it's got to go through that glove first. I have gone through a glove, so. I like what you used to do, what you used to say. You ask me how when you talk about stuff that it. Okay. And I watch the drill bit. When it starts to cake up, like it is right now, I'll back it out. On mine, I have a red mark that I know. If you go past that red mark, it's gonna knock this loose. Brush. Well, fiddle. Okay. If you do a bunch of these, that'll get real hot, real quick. So you want to be careful. And then I just very gently push it in and go drill some more. Now, this chuck that I have, the chuck up here, I can put about, I think it's close to a 1/2 inch drill through that hole, and it won't hit anything. When you go to those 25 millimeter ones, you got to be careful, and because you can. Okay, it feels like I just popped through the end of it. I can't believe it, but that's what it felt like. And you can see how it's smoking. I left it get too long in there. Okay. Kind of looks like I did go through. If you go through, you can see all the way through the bloody thing. Okay? If you're not sure and you want to do a little more, you know, okay, fine. Do a little more. I'm not drilling at all. I'm not hitting anything. So I've gotten through all of it. Now, if you were doing acrylic, you'd do it the same exact way. The only difference is with acrylic, you wouldn't get this dust. You would get a bunch of stringy stuff that comes out. Okay? But other than that, it's done exactly the same way. Now, one of the other reasons why I like to leave a little longer, this one came out the end very easily, and in fact, before I was expecting it to. You can get a little, and I mean a little, blowout through the end. But that's ready to have a tube put in, and I was off a little bit on center. Not much, but I was off a little bit on center. That's how you drill them. With a cigar pen, you do both pieces, and now you take that aside. And I go into my dining room table, and I have a placemat, and I'll sit at my dining room table and glue up however many of these things I've got. I live alone, so it's no problem with the dining room table. Hey, what can I say? Okay. One of the things I didn't talk about, you will never want to do that and go do something else. You never want to do that. That's bad. I didn't do that, ever.
You get fired for that in a machine shop.
Really? I understand why, but like I say, I've never done that. But okay, as I say, the only thing I use these drills for is drilling wood. Drilling my pen blanks. Okay. And you don't want to take a hold of a drill right after you get done using it. I've only drilled the one with this, and it drilled very easily. But you saw the smoke coming up, at least I hope you did. So it was hot. Not real hot, yet it's too hot to hang on to it for very long. So if you drill 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of these things, it's going to be good and hot. I would not suggest that you drill a whole mess of them at one time. It changes the diameter of the drill. You'll find out that every one of those walnut pieces is undersized. Just at least a little bit. I'm talking a 64th or 128th. I had to take sandpaper and just touch them in there to get it to accept the tube for the salt or the pepper. And it was because I did a whole mess of them at one time, and I got that drill heated up. It heated the wood up. The wood expanded, which made the hole appear to be larger, but it really wasn't. It was actually a little bit smaller. Okay. In the interest of, oh good golly, of time, I got 2 of them already set up. Okay, same type of wood. Oh, come on. Thank you. Thank you. My adapter came off with it, which is unusual. Okay, the mandrel that I was talking about earlier, number 2 mandrel, fits very nicely into your piece. Oh. No, I glued the tubes in. I'll show that in a little bit, how I glue that. Yeah, I didn't realize I was running this long on time. I didn't. There we go. Okay. One way. the end of the mandrel is set up, I think it was a 60 degree. It might have been a 45 degree, and I've made it 60 just through usage. Okay, you want to put a little bit of tension on it, not a whole lot. On some of the pen kits, if you put a whole lot of tension on it, you can actually bend the mandrel. Okay, so you don't want to put a whole lot. If you can turn the block when it's on the mandrel, which I can just barely turn that one, you might want to give it a little bit extra tightening. Now, yeah. Okay. As I said, roughing gouge, nothing fancy. You got your bushings. Because I read my instructions, I know that this is the point of the pen. Okay, the center of the point, the centering on the cap, and this is the cap. I wrote them all down on those instructions, and I set this up that way. One of the blanks is a long blank, and one of the blanks is a short blank. The short blank is the cap. The long blank is the pen point. And if you just look at them, you can see that. Okay? So it works out nicely. I did not turn very fast for the longest time. I have found out that the faster you turn, the easier it is to turn, in most cases. Okay. In most cases. I'm now up to, my standard is around 2,000 to 2,400. Someone turned my lathe up to 3,000, and it scared the heck out of me, but it works. And pull it on, okay. So I'm only going to run it up to about 18. On my little lathe at home, 18 is the middle drive belt system. And it works pretty well. So I'm going to stick with the 18 for now. And like I say, I generally turn faster. This is nothing than a scraping mode. I'm not worrying about finding the bevel and writing the bevel. You can. I'm not. Okay. About as interesting as dried paint, right? Okay. Anyhow. Now, the better job you do of getting close to the mandrel, close to the bushing size, the better your pen is going to be. That one that was just polished that I sent around, that I thought was really pretty doggone good, I hit the bushings just perfect. Okay? And it takes you a little while, but you learn how to get close.